Hello, everyone. Welcome to the APH Virtual Excel Academy. Today is meant for our younger students, but everybody is welcome. Our lesson today is about multitasking with music. Feel free to drop a note in the chat, say hello, who you are, where you're from. We are so glad to have you with us today. It is the APH Virtual Excel Academy, and we are talking about multitasking with music. I wonder how many of you know what multitasking is. I definitely know what music is. Today, our wonderful presenter is Amelia Welsh. Now, she's been with us before. Hello, Donnie. Hello, Nadia. So glad to have you with us today. One more time, just in case you're just arriving, it is the APH Virtual Excel Academy, Multitasking with Music. And I am now going to turn it over to Amelia. Here you go, Amelia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amelia, and I'm so excited to see people telling me their names in the chat. Hi, Donnie, Nadia, and Kelly. I'm going to be looking over on this side of my screen to look at my chat box to respond to you guys and see what everyone is saying. And then I'll be turning over here and reading my notes. So if you see me switching back and forth, that's all that I'm doing. And I would love for everyone to be really active in the chat today. I'm going to ask some questions, and I would love for people to write their answers, or if you're more comfortable, you can unmute yourself when I ask you, and you can tell us your answers through your microphone. So let's get into the topic for today. Oh, hi, Jennifer. Okay, let's get into our topic. So today we're talking about multitasking with music. So, this is a really fun topic. I am a musician, I sing, and I love to sing. I'm currently in school to learn how to sing better and to perform. And so, I have to multitask with music a lot. And we're going to break down how to do that and also bring it into everyday life because multitasking isn't only something you do with music. You do it all the time, probably without even realizing that you're doing it. So, let's talk about multitasking with music. And before we get into multitasking with music, let's talk about what is multitasking. That's kind of a big word. Have you heard the word multitasking before? If you have heard that word, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. You can say yes. I see Nadia says that yes, she has heard the word multitasking. Has anybody else heard that word? If you haven't, it's okay because we're going to talk about it today. And Clara, I think, says no, she hasn't heard that word. Well, let's break down what the word is. So the word multitasking is two words put together. The word multi and the word tasking. So let's define each word separately and then it'll give us the definition of the word. And I see Donnie in the chat is reading my mind and saying exactly what multitasking means. So yes, Donnie, you're correct. Let me explain what Donnie is saying. Multi means more than one, multiple. Multiple things means more than one thing. So tasks, multitasking, the word task is something you need to do, like an activity or a chore, something that you're doing is a task. So multitasking, like Donnie just put in the chat, is doing two things at once. Or it could be more than two things. It could be three or four things. It's doing more than one thing at a time. So multitasking in music is doing more than one thing with music at the same time. And that can be pretty confusing sometimes because sometimes it's hard to do more than one thing. But we're going to get into exactly how you can make it easier on yourself to do it. So here's an example of multitasking from my life. I said earlier I'm in school right now, so I have to write some papers for class. Do any of you have to write papers for your school or homework assignments? I think we've all done homework assignments for school. And sometimes when I am writing a paper, I see Clara says yes, she has done homework assignments. Well, Clara, I'm sure sometimes when you're writing a paper, maybe you're doing something else at the same time. I like to listen to music while I'm writing my paper. So I'll listen to music, but at the same time, I'll be writing a paper. So I'm doing two things at once. Listening to the music, maybe I'm singing along, dancing, bobbing my head, listening to my favorite song, and I'm also typing on my computer and typing out my paper. And that is doing two things at once, and that is multitasking. And that's just an example of multitasking in everyday life. But we're going to get into more examples of specifically multitasking in music. But before we do that, does anybody want to share an example of multitasking from your life? You can put it in the chat or you can put your microphone on if you want. Just raise your virtual hand and we will turn on your microphone, and I'd love to hear an example of multitasking from someone's life. Just something you've done where you do more than one thing at a time.
Clara has raised her hand.
Yes, Clara.
So, one way that I've done multitasking is listening to my mom's directions for making a craft and listening to music and brailing out the signs that she tells me to write.
That is a great example. Thank you, Clara. You're listening to your mom and you're doing your craft and you're doing your braille at the same time. That is a lot of multitasking. That's awesome. Good for you. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm looking in our chat, and Donnie says that he watches TV and plays Zoom at the same time. That is also multitasking. And Nadia said that she reads and plays the piano. That is a big multitask, to read and play the piano at the same time. That is very impressive. Thank you, Nadia. And she says she listens to music while she does her laundry. That is a great way to multitask and do your chores, maybe something you don't want to do, laundry, with something fun like listening to music. So that's awesome, Nadia. So thank you for sharing your multitasking examples. So when I think about multitasking, I think about my mom, because my mom is a really good multitasker, and I think most moms are really good at multitasking. When I was younger, my mom homeschooled me, so she taught me school at home. And while she was teaching me, she would do all kinds of other things at the same time. And I have three siblings: older sister, younger sister, and a younger brother. And she was homeschooling all of us at the same time. So I remember sometimes when I was younger, my mom would give me a spelling test and she would be making dinner at the same time. She would cook our dinner and give me my spelling words. And that is multitasking. So there's a lot of ways that we use multitasking in everyday life that's really useful, because if my mom just made dinner, then I wouldn't get my spelling test done. But if she just did my spelling test, then we wouldn't have any dinner. So she only had time to multitask and do both of those things at once. So multitasking can be a very useful skill that we can use. Like Nadia was saying, she listens to music and does her laundry. If she wants to listen to music and she only has 30 minutes, but she needs to do her laundry, if she can't do them both at the same time, she'll have to pick one. She'll either have half an hour of listening to fun music or half an hour of doing her laundry. And both of those things need to get done. So she multitasks, and does them at the same time, which is awesome. So now that we know what multitasking is, and Donnie explained it so well by saying doing two things at once, let's talk about music. So in music, there's a lot of different things that happen and a lot of different instruments that you can play. So today I'm going to use my guitar to show you multitasking with music. But every instrument, even singing, playing the piano, like Nadia was saying, she plays the piano and reads the music. If you're playing flute, violin, all the instruments that you can think of, you would be multitasking. But I'm going to use my guitar today to show you guys exactly how I multitask in music. And I'm going to hold up my guitar, but I'm also going to describe everything that I'm doing. So if you can't see what I'm doing, don't worry about it. So, have any of you seen or felt a guitar? Do you know what a guitar is? Before I talk about multitasking with a guitar, what is a guitar? Well, this is my guitar, and if you can't see it, here's what it sounds like. So a guitar is made of wood. That's me knocking on the guitar, the wood. And it's kind of a big oval shape, and it sits on your leg. And coming out of the oval is this neck. Coming out of the middle is a neck where you play the notes. And most guitars have 6 strings. Some guitars can have more than 6. There is a 12-string guitar, but my guitar only has 6 strings. So here's each one of the strings.
Amelia, I have a question.
Yes.
You said it has a neck.
Yes.
When you hold the guitar, does the neck go up like our necks go up?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking. It does not. The neck goes out to my left side. So if you know which side is your left, hold your arm out on your left side. And that is the direction that the neck of the guitar goes. And I use my left hand to put my fingers on the neck and push down strings. So, you know, I just said that there were 6 strings, and I said there was a neck, and Leanne just helped us know the neck goes off to the left. So my left hand pushes down the strings on the neck on the left side, and when I push down the strings, it makes a different sound than when I don't push down the strings. So if I don't push down the strings and I play the strings, this is what it sounds like. Now, if I play a chord, I'm pushing down a pattern of notes with my left fingers to make different sounds. It'll sound like this. Here is no pushing down on the strings, and here's me pushing down on the strings. So it sounds a little different. So the neck of the guitar is very important because it helps us change the sound. So let's talk about how you multitask with the guitar. Okay, so we have our guitar. The round part is on my lap. It's sitting on my lap just like a little box, but it's kind of a round box. It's a box made of wood with round edges. And the strings go from the right side of the box all the way up the neck that comes off the left side, and it stops. It's about the same length as my arm. It's not super long. So that is how the guitar sits on your lap. And you use your right hand to play those strings over that round box, and you use your left hand to play the notes. It sounds a little confusing sometimes when you explain it, But that's where multitasking comes in and can help. There's so much going on with the guitar. How can you get everything right? Well, you can multitask. So, I said earlier guitars were made of wood and they have the 6 strings. So, when I press down on the strings, that's one task. I'm pressing the strings with my left hand to play different notes. My right hand is playing the strings to make the sound. That's another task. We've got one task with my left hand pushing on the strings, and we've got another task with my right hand playing the strings. So we are multitasking right now just to do that. Well, if I'm reading music, like Nadia reads her piano music, that is another task. I'm looking at the music, I'm reading the notes. I might be reading the words to a song. That is another task. And what if I'm playing guitar and I'm singing at the same time? That is another task. So we have 4 tasks going on at one time, and that is a lot of multitasking. So playing an instrument like guitar is a great way to work on your multitasking. But when you're just singing, you multitask too, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But before we go into that, I have another topic that I wanted to talk about with you guys, and that is our senses. So when I say our senses, does anybody know what our senses are? We have 5 senses. Does anybody know what our senses are? If you want, you can type them in the chat, or you can just say yes if you know, but you're not sure which ones they are. Or you can turn on your mic and you can tell us, what are our senses? And Clara says yes, she does know what our senses are. Awesome. Nadia in the chat listed off all of our 5 senses. Good job, Nadia. I'm going to read what Nadia wrote. Hearing, that's the sense where we use our ears and we listen to the sounds. Hearing. Smelling, which is, of course, our nose. We can smell. Seeing, which we use our eyes for. Tasting, which we use our tongue and our mouth for. And touch, which we use our hands and basically every part of our bodies for, because we can touch stuff with our entire body. But let's talk about hands. And Clara in the chat also says eyes. Yes, Clara, eyes. And Donnie in the chat says seeing, feeling, eating, smelling, and hearing. So you all have a great idea of what our senses are. That is awesome. So let's think about our senses with multitasking. When you're multitasking, do you think we use more than one sense at the same time? Would that be multitasking if we used more than one sense? Nadia says yes, and Clara says yes. I agree with you guys. I think multitasking does use more than one sense. So we've talked about our 5 senses: touch, smell, seeing, hearing, and tasting. Now, which one of these do we use for music? Do we use all 5 for music, or do we only use a few of them? Let's think about that for a minute. We have 5 senses: touch, taste, smell, hearing, and seeing. Do we use all 5 of those for music? In the chat, Donnie says hearing, and Nadia says seeing and hearing. And you are both correct. We use seeing and hearing for music. And Clara says we use a few, which is also correct. Let me ask you a question. Can we taste music? Can you taste music like you can taste your favorite food? My favorite food is chili. My mom makes the most delicious chili, and I love tasting that chili. but can you taste music? Nadia and Donnie both say no, and Clara says no. That is right, you cannot taste music. That would be pretty crazy if you could taste music. I wonder what it would taste like. But we can't. We cannot taste music. But there's one more sense that we don't use. Clara says yuck. Music might not taste very good. I have another question for you guys. Can you smell music? Can you smell what music smells like? That is an interesting question. And in our chat, Nadia and Donnie say no. You cannot smell music. And Clara agrees with them. And I agree with all three of you. I wonder what music would smell like. We'll never know. But you can use smell while you're playing music. You might smell your instrument. My guitar is made of wood. I might smell the wood, but I wouldn't smell the sound of music. So that leaves us with 3 senses that we do use for music. We don't use taste, we don't use smell, but we do use hearing, sight, and touch. So let's talk about how we can use all 3 of those senses to multitask with music. So with my guitar as an example, let's talk about it. Starting with hearing, with our ears. How do you think we use hearing to multitask? When I'm playing guitar, I'm playing my chords. How am I using hearing? Well, I'm listening to the sound that I'm playing. Then if I play a wrong note, I'll know. Nadia says she plays the piano, so I think Nadia probably knows what I mean. If you play a wrong note and you hear it, you know immediately that you played the wrong note and you can fix it. And Donnie says that he can tell if someone's playing loud or soft by hearing, and that is a great observation. Thank you, Donnie. That is very true. You can hear if someone's loud or soft by listening to them with your ears. So that is hearing. And if you're playing music with another person, my sister and I like to play music together. She likes to sing and I'll sing with her. And I'm using my ears to listen to her singing so that I know we're singing the same words. We're not going faster or slower than each other. And like Donnie said, you can listen to the other person. If they're too loud or too soft, you can change the way you're singing to match what they're doing. So hearing is a very important sense for music. I might say it's the most important one, but I don't know if that's true because the other ones are very important too. So let's talk about the next one, which is touch. Touch is so important for music. When I play guitar, I use both my hands to touch my guitar. I use my right hand to touch the strings. I use my left hand to touch the strings on the neck. I'm using both hands to touch, and it's very important. If I couldn't feel the guitar, I wouldn't know if I was touching a string, I wouldn't know if I was touching the wooden part, I wouldn't know what was going on. And Nadia plays piano. You can feel the piano keys. You can feel if you're playing a white key or a black key. I see that Clara, you raised your hand. Can we turn on Clara's mic and see what she has to say?
So I play piano too, and I have to feel the keys so I would know if I were hitting the right note. Like I can feel the group of black keys and move down beside the first one if I want to find the C.
That is such a good example. Thank you so much, Clara.
You're welcome.
What we talk about. Thank you. I'm so glad you play the piano. How long have you played piano for?
I've played piano for about like since 2019, I believe.
Nice. So you're probably getting pretty good. I bet you can play a lot of scales. That's awesome. I think touch is very important when you're playing the piano because, like Clara was saying, she knows where the black keys are. And if you're not familiar with a piano, there are white keys and black keys. And the white keys are at a certain level, and the black keys stick up above the white ones, and they're skinnier. So you can feel which ones are which. So even if you can't see the piano keys and you can't see the black or the white, you can feel which one is which. And for Clara, she said if she plays a wrong note, she knows to feel for those black keys to get herself oriented. And that is exactly why touch is so important for music, because with an instrument, you're always touching it to play your notes. So if you know which notes are where by touch, you don't even have to see to play the piano, and that is awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that, Clara. That's so awesome. Let's talk about the last sense that we use in music. We talked about hearing with our ears, we talked about touch with your fingers, and now the last one, sight. And that might be a tricky sense for some people because I know a lot of you all can't always see everything. And that is okay because you have all of your other senses. And like Clara, she's using her touch. She doesn't need to see the piano to play it. And she can still play beautiful music without seeing it. But sight is something we can use for instruments. So when I look at the piano, I see the white and the black keys, and I use that to help me figure out if I'm playing the wrong notes. But Clara uses touch, and it works exactly the same. So those are the three senses that we use to play music. We use hearing with our ears, we use touch with our hands, and we use sight with our eyes. So let's talk about an example. So if you're using hearing with the guitar, let's use my guitar as an example. You're listening to the guitar. You can hear the music. Could you all hear the music with your ears? Clara says yes. Thank you, Clara. And Nadia just brought up an interesting point in the chat. She says, I switched chords. And you are right, Nadia. You could hear that I switched chords. I played the first one, and then I switched chords, and then I switched again. And you can hear that with your ears. You don't need any other senses to tell you that I'm switching chords, and that is awesome. So good job, Nadia, for hearing that. So we're using our hearing, and I am using my sight to look at my guitar to see if my fingers are playing the right strings, but I'm also using touch to feel if I'm playing the right strings. Guitars have these really, really helpful markers on the neck, just like with piano keys, how the black ones are raised above the white ones. On a guitar neck, there are little raised parts that are raised to help show you where to play, and they're called frets. So each fret shows me if I'm playing in the right place. And if I'm not even looking, if I can't see my guitar, I can feel the raised portion, and I know that I'm at a fret. And when you play guitar, you put your fingers right in between two frets to play. Nadia in the chat says that her ukulele has frets. That is awesome that you play ukulele. And yes, it's the exact same with a guitar. A guitar is shaped just like a ukulele, but it's bigger. So Nadia knows what I'm talking about with the frets. But if you play piano, then you can imagine, because it's just like those black keys on a piano. It just helps you orient yourself. but it's not a note like the black keys are. It just shows you if you're putting your hand in the right spot. So I thought I would play you all a song, because what is the point of talking about multitasking with music if we don't actually do it? So I'm going to play you all a song that I've been listening to, just a little part of it, so you can hear multitasking. And I want you to listen while I'm playing this song, and I want you to think about multitasking with music. And you can think about what I'm doing, because I'm playing the music. What senses am I using to multitask? Am I using touch? Am I using hearing? Am I using sight? Am I using all three of them? Listen to me playing and think about it, and then you can tell me in the chat. And you can also think about what you're doing. You're listening to my music. So what senses are you using to multitask and listen to what I'm playing? So this song, I'm just going to play part of it. It's a song I've been listening to a lot recently. It's by a band called Hot Rise. The band's called Hot Rise, and it's a bluegrass band. And this is just a really pretty song, and I'm just going to play the first verse so we can hear it. And then tell me what senses I'm using to multitask. All right, here we go. You were on my mind this morning, you were on my mind today. We had our good times together, we both had our special way. I guess those happy days are gone now, just like water through my hands. I wonder if I'll ever see you, ever kiss your lips again. Okay, that was just the first verse of that song, and I was singing and playing guitar. So Donnie says I was singing. Yes, thank you, Donnie. I was singing. So what senses was I using to sing, Donnie? Let me see if you know. Put that in the chat. I'd be interested to see what you say. Nadia says hearing vocals. Yes, you were listening to my vocals with your ears. And I was listening to my vocals to make sure I was singing the right notes with my ears too, so we were using hearing. And Donnie, yes, you said listening, which is the same as hearing, just a different word. So Donnie was listening to my voice and to my guitar, so he was using the sense of hearing. So what other senses was I using other than hearing? Nadia brought up an interesting thing. She says memory. Nadia, is memory a sense or is it not a sense? I was using memory, so you're right. I was using memory to remember the chords, but memory isn't exactly a sense. But thank you for bringing it up, because memory is a very important part of music. So that's a really good point, Nadia. And Clara says touch, and Donnie says feel, and Joy says touch as well, playing the strings. You are all right. I was using touch to play the strings. So I was using hearing, and I was using touch. Now, do you think I was using sight? How would I be using sight to play that verse for you? Let's see what you say in the chat. Joy says to read music. Yes, that is how I could be using sight. I was not reading music. Like Nadia said, I was remembering the chords, but I did cheat a little and I have the words in my notes. So I was using sight to look at the words. So you are right. And Donnie is correct as well to say that I was looking at the chords, because I was looking at the chords to make sure I was singing the right chords, and I was looking at the words to make sure I was singing the right words. And Nadia says, I was using my eyes to see the music and the frets on the guitar. Yes, Nadia, thank you for saying that. I was using my eyes to see if I was playing the frets, so that is a really good point. So, as you can see, I just played a short little bit of a song, and I was doing a lot. I was using 3 senses. I was using both of my hands, I was using my ears, and I was using my eyes, and I was singing just to play that 20-second little bit of music. So, music has a lot of multitasking. And all of you who play the piano, Clara and Nadia, know that music uses a lot of multitasking. When you play the piano, do you use the pedals underneath? Some pianos have pedals where you can sustain the sound for longer. Clara says yes. So when you're using the pedal, that's another task that you're using. And Nadia says not right now. Nadia, if you ever use a piano that has a pedal, try using the pedal while you're playing. Sometimes it's kind of hard. Oh, she does have pedals, she's just not using them. Sometimes playing the pedals can get confusing because it's another task. You're multitasking with another task. And I see Donnie says he plays the harmonica. That is really awesome, Donnie. That is so awesome. My dad can play the harmonica, but I can't. I can kind of play it, but it's a lot harder than it looks, I think, to play. And Nadia says that she does use the pedals sometimes. So yes, try using the pedals and you're multitasking even more. So music uses a lot of different senses. So let's go over what we've talked about so far. But before we do that, Nadia says she plays the drums. That is really exciting. You play piano and the drums, and you listen to songs. Yeah, playing the drums while listening so you can play along with them, that is a good idea because then you can make sure you're using your senses, you're using hearing, and you're using touch to hit the drums. That is really awesome. My fiance plays the drums, and he does that too. He listens to songs and plays with them. So that's awesome. So let's review before we go on. Let's talk about what we've learned so far. So we've talked about what multitasking is. Multitasking is doing more than one thing at a time. And we do it in music and we do it in everyday life. Like Nadia was saying, she listens to music and does her laundry. That's multitasking in everyday life. When I play guitar, that's multitasking in music. And we talked about our 5 senses, which are touch, taste, smell, hearing, and sight. And we talked about which ones we use for music, because we can't taste music and we can't smell music. Even though that would be kind of fun, we can't. So we can hear music with our ears, we can see music with our eyes sometimes, see our instruments sometimes, and we can touch our instruments. And I think hearing and touch are probably more important than sight because you don't need to see your instrument if you can feel it and you can hear it. Seeing might be nice, but you don't need to do it to be able to play, which is great. So now we've gone over what we've learned. So let's talk about multitasking and how sometimes it's hard. So multitasking is something that you can practice. You can do it over and over until you get better at it. And I can give you an example of playing guitar. When I play guitar, I have to practice. When I first started playing guitar, I never sang and played. I could only play the chords. I couldn't sing at the same time because I was using so much brain power. I was thinking about my left hand playing the strings on the neck, my right hand strumming the strings near the wooden box part of the guitar. I was thinking about those things. So when I started singing, I would forget to play the chords right and I would mess it up. And I had to practice playing the guitar and practice singing before I could bring them together and do them at the same time. And that is something we do in music, but it's also something you can do in your everyday life. Like Clara was saying earlier, she can listen to her mom and she can also do her Braille at the same time. And maybe when Clara was learning Braille, she couldn't do that. Maybe you had to think really hard about your Braille, but now you're so used to it, you're better at it because you've practiced. You can listen to your mom and do your Braille. And it's no big deal because you've done it so much, you know what you're doing. You're a pro. And that is exactly what we have to do with multitasking in music. We have to practice both things that we're going to do so that when we put them together, it's not hard and we don't have to think about it as much. So I have a question for you. Here's a couple questions just to think about what senses that we're using. Kind of some review questions so you guys will know. What if you are singing with your friend? You're singing part of the song, your friend is singing part of the song, and you're singing together. What sense would you be using to make sure you're singing the same parts? How would you know that you're singing the same parts? Which sense do you think you would use? Let's see if you can put it in the chat. I see Nadia, Clara, and Donnie all say hearing and ears, and you are right. You would be using hearing. Good job, guys. So if you're singing with your friend, you would be using hearing to listen to your friend, and your friend would use hearing to listen to you, and you could sing together. And that way you would stay together, and you could listen, like Donnie said earlier, to the loudness and softness of each other's voices, and you could make it sound beautiful. Here is another question. What if you're singing by yourself? Just by yourself, you're singing your favorite song, you're not playing guitar or piano, you're just singing. Are you multitasking just by singing? You're just singing. Is that multitasking, do you think? Let's see what you all say in the chat. Is just singing multitasking? I'm interested to see what you all have to say. And I don't think that there's a right answer for this question. I think an argument could be made for either one, yes or no. So I see in the chat that Nadia says no, you're just doing one thing. You're doing singing. That is one task. So Nadia, that makes sense why you would say no. And now I see that Joy and Clara said yes, you are multitasking. And I think that makes sense too, because when you're singing your favorite song, you're remembering the words, like Nadia said earlier, memory. That's not a sense, but that's a task that you're doing. You're remembering the words. You're moving your mouth and your tongue to sing the words and the sounds. You're thinking about the words and the rhythm and the melody. So you are doing a lot of small things to do one big thing, which is singing. So you are multitasking, but not in the same way as multitasking when you play the piano. So Clara put in the chat that you're breathing as well, which is very true. You breathe when you sing, and that is a task. Sometimes you have to think about breathing. Sometimes you forget to breathe when you're singing. And Joy says listening to your notes that you're singing, which is true. You're breathing and you're listening to those notes. So I think you could say yes or no to if just singing is multitasking, because it is one task, which is singing, but to sing, you have to do a lot of little tasks, like listening and breathing and moving your mouth. So I think it could be either one. But thank you all for answering my question. I'm glad to hear what you all have to say about it. So I think we have learned that multitasking is very important in music. But like we said earlier, you don't just multitask in music. You use it in everyday life. So maybe you're eating lunch and you're watching your favorite show at the same time. That is multitasking. You're doing one thing, which is eating, and you're doing another thing, which is watching your favorite TV show at the same time. Or maybe what I used as an example earlier about my mom. My mom would read my spelling words and check my spelling test while she made dinner. And that's two tasks that is in everyday life. Very important to learn multitasking, and I think you all are pros at it. So, I know we talked earlier about some examples of multitasking, and you all shared some examples. Does anybody have any other examples that they want to share before we move on of examples of multitasking in your life that you've done? If you don't, it's okay, but if you do, you can raise your virtual hand or you can just type in the chat and let me know if you have any other examples of what multitasking. Donnie just said karaoke. Karaoke is multitasking. You're remembering the words, you're listening to the song. So yes, that is multitasking. And Clara raised her hand. Let's unmute Clara. See what she says.
So another way that I multitask is typing in chat and listening to you.
That is a wonderful example, Clara, of multitasking in real life. That is awesome. Thank you for
sharing. I'm not a very good typer, so I'm also remembering where the keys are. Like, where's the N?
I'm not a very good typer either. I understand. I always, if I'm typing too fast, I have to go back and fix everything that I'm spelling wrong. But yes, you're multitasking by typing and listening to me. And I try to pause and give you all enough time to write your answers, but sometimes I don't, and I'm sorry. But you all are amazing at multitasking and answering all the questions. And I see Nadia says that she listens and plays the songs on the piano. And yes, that is definitely multitasking. Clara, did you raise your hand again?
Sorry, I thought my hand was raised.
That's okay. All right. Thank you all for sharing your examples. I love hearing about multitasking that you do. So we're almost done with today's lesson of multitasking in music. But before we go, I just have a couple more questions for you all. And you can just think about them. You don't have to answer in the chat or raise your hand. Just think about it. What are our five senses? Can you remember what they are? Just say them to yourself. I know you know them because you've all typed them in the chat. But just to review, our five senses are touch, hearing, sight, smell, and taste. And I know you all just said them, so great job. And which ones do we use for music? We've gone over this a lot, so I know you all know. Which three senses do we use for music? We use touch, hearing, and sight. So those are the three we use. We don't use smell or taste for music. And now I have one more example that I'd like to show you. Clara in the chat says eyes, ears, and hands. Yes, that is correct, Clara. So I'd like to just end today's session with another little song just to show you what I was talking about earlier with practicing. Do you remember when I was talking about practicing earlier? I was talking about how sometimes when I was learning to play guitar, I could play the chords and I could sing, but I couldn't do them at the same time. I was not practiced enough to do them at the same time because it was too much multitasking, too many things going on at once. But I practiced just playing guitar, and then I practiced just singing, and I got to the point where I could do it together because I wasn't using so much brain power to do my multitasking. So I want to show you all a song that I'm learning right now. So I might mess it up, might hit the wrong note. So listen and see if you can hear the note that I hit that's wrong. I'm learning a song called Blackbird, and it's by Paul McCartney, who was part of the group The Beatles. You might have heard of them. Super famous group. I actually don't know a lot of Beatles songs, so I'm trying to learn more of them. And Blackbird is a song that Paul McCartney wrote, and it uses a lot of my left hand on the guitar. If you remember, I said my left hand plays the strings on the neck, and my right hand strums the strings in front of the round part. So my left hand on the neck has to do a lot of playing notes. And I'm not as good at playing the notes as I am at just hitting the strings. And on top of all that, I have to sing the words. So I want to show you all this song and just listen to all the multitasking that I'm doing. And I might mess it up. I'll try my best not to, but if I do, it's a live example of how you should practice your things individually before you put them together, because sometimes multitasking is a little hard. So this is how Blackbird goes. I'll just play the guitar part first. Let's see if I can do it. Did you all hear some wrong notes, some things that didn't sound so pretty in there? I'm still learning it, but I think you can hear all the little notes I was playing. That is a lot more challenging than just playing this. That's just strumming a chord. And for those of you who play the piano, that's just like playing that C major chord, C, E, and G on the piano. Just those notes, it's a lot easier than playing the melody of a song like this. And that's why it's so important to practice our multitasking. I'm working on this song. Maybe next time I see you all, I'll have it all down and I can play it for you perfectly. Hopefully I will. But I'm still working on practicing that part so that I can add the words on top. So multitasking is something in music that is really important because we use all of those three senses. Hearing, we don't use taste. I almost said taste. We don't use taste. Hearing, touch, and sight for playing music. And just like we were talking about, we use all of those five senses, taste and smell, with the other three in everyday life. And I think in everyday life, it's even more important sometimes to practice things because we play music for fun, but some things in everyday life we have to do, and it's not for fun, it's because we have to do it. Maybe you have to get your assignment done for school, but your sister or brother is watching a movie in the same room as you, and you can't go anywhere else to write your assignment, and they have to watch their movie. You have to compromise, and you have to multitask and listen to the movie, but also do your assignment. And that's really important because if you couldn't multitask, you might not be able to get your work done. So I think multitasking is something that is really fun because it's a challenge and it's fun to get better at something that you weren't as good at and conquer a new skill. I think that's fun. And so it's fun to practice your multitasking in music, but also in everyday life so that you can get better at just using your time more efficiently, which just means that you're using it the best way that you can. If you only have 30 minutes to do your laundry, like Nadia was saying earlier, she does laundry and listens to music. She only has those 30 minutes. Is she going to listen to music or do laundry? If she can multitask, she can do both. So that's why multitasking is so important in everyday life and in music. And I think everybody who plays an instrument, Donnie plays the harmonica, and Nadia and Clara play piano, multitasking is important for you all in music. So I think we learned a lot about multitasking today. I learned that I need to practice Blackbird by Paul McCartney to work on my multitasking. So I think we had a great time today. Thank you guys for coming today and listening to me talk about multitasking in music. It was really fun and I loved hearing everybody share their experiences. Clara, Nadia, Joy, Donnie, everybody who shared. Thank you so much. And I will see you all later for some more music talks down the road. So I hope everyone has a great week.
Thank you so much, Amelia. I'm Amy, a new friend. Leanne had to hop out, and so I hope it's okay, everyone, to have a new friend join you just to close things up. But it was a great lesson. I loved thinking about multitasking and using my senses for music. So thank you for bringing your talent today. And we hope that the rest of you will maybe join us tomorrow. We are going up, up, and away for air travel. Might pique your interest, and we would love to have you join us. If you would like, anybody is welcome. It is geared towards some of our older learners, but everyone is welcome. So until then, we hope you have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you next time.
Amy, I think we can stop the recording. I thought I saw a hand up from Ken.